Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and today we are reviewing the all-new Streets of Rage 4.
Yes, we have been waiting 25 years, probably more, for a new installment in this series. Does it live up to the name of the classic? Let's find out.
It does, Jim. Oh, shit, spoilers.
Damn it.
Let's find out.
Please watch. Released in April of 2020, this was developed by .emu, Lizard Cube, and Guard Crush Games. It was published by .emu and came out for Windows, the Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. It is the long-awaited fourth game in the venerable Streets of Rage series. Let's see how this holds up compared to those classics.
The graphics. Right off the bat, this game looks impressive as hell. And I like that the developers decided to go with this cel-shaded look because it will help with the longevity of the series overall. Obviously, you wouldn't want to go all the way back to the 16-bit style, so this is a nice in-between. And they were able to add in a lot of really nice lighting effects, and the special moves just look great. All the animation and the sprite movements are seamless, and no matter what system you use, they all seem to run at 60 FPS, which is fine with us. Even with a ton of characters on screen at once, I never really noticed a slowdown. So I really like what they've done here, and the added little touch of being able to unlock the old characters from the series and show them in their full either 8-bit or 16-bit pixels was a great addition, and I love what they did. So overall, Jim and I gave this an 8. This is just a really great looking game. And when it comes to beer, I'm going to add 1 for those awesome lighting effects, especially when you use your special moves.
The sound. The sound package in this game is very solid. There's some voice acting in the game, and it comes when you select your characters, but that's about it. I'm actually surprised that they didn't have the cutscenes voiced, and while it's not that big of a deal, it is disappointing. The sound effects are perfectly fine, and many of them are taken directly from the old games, which is a nice touch. I like that when you use the retro characters, the punches and kicks sound how they did back then. The biggest mixed bag though is with the music. And don't get me wrong, all of the music tracks are really well made, they just aren't memorable. I've played through this game about 5 times, not including multiple arcade attempts, and I still never find myself humming any of these tunes after, which has never happened to me before with this series. Levels 2 and 8 have the best tracks, but even then I just don't find myself remembering them. The classic tracks are ripped right from Streets of Rage 2 on the Genesis and on the Master System, which is really cool. I just wish there were more songs from the other games, but what we have is still a nice alternative. Overall, we both gave the sound a 7. While everything here is really well done, it just isn't memorable enough to push it over that edge, and that's a crime when it comes to the Streets of Rage series. When it comes to beer, we'll just give it 1 for the good yet unremarkable soundtrack.
The control. Similar to all the previous Streets of Rage games, the layout is very simple here. You move with your left stick or your D-pad, you have a jump button, an attack button, a special button, your pick up and throw button, and you have a dedicated back attack, which you can also achieve by using your left stick and your attack button, or just hitting the bumpers as I just said, similar to your new star move, which can either be achieved by using your other bumper, or 2 of your buttons pressed together. What's always helped maintain that Streets of Rage is such a great game is the fact that the controls were always very simple and there was just almost no input lag, which this game really carries through. I'll say this is the best controlling Streets of Rage game to date, and that's saying something. The combo system has really been revamped for this title, and Jim will get a little bit more into that. But the basic idea is that, like the old games, if you hit your basic attack, you have a basic combo. If you hold down your basic attack, you can convert it to a strong attack, and you have your power move and your blitz attack. If you chain all of your attacks together, you can get crazy combos, which can take a little bit of time to master. But what's so nice about this game, and really the series in general, is that any player could come along and it's very easy to learn. As I mentioned, you have a dedicated button to picking up weapons and throwing it, but now you have the ability to bounce them off enemies and catch them in midair, which is a nice little addition. So there's really not much else to say. If you've ever played a beat 'em up, then you know what to expect when you go into this game. I really love when developers map out all your inputs to all the bumpers, really utilizing all the controllers. And for those of you who have that retro feel, you do have the option to pull off some of these special moves or attacks by hitting two buttons together. Really, the choice is yours. So when it comes to scores, we both gave it 9s. This is damn near perfect, and when it comes to beer, I'm not even going to add any.
The gameplay. Well, this game is a beat 'em up. You go from left to right, it's got those multiple planes that you can go up and down on, you punch and kick your way through a bunch of enemies, mid-bosses and final bosses to go to the next level. Pretty standard stuff here. Another welcome addition and probably the biggest new gimmick of the game is the actual combo system. So in the old games you could string together combos that were preset, but this game is all about building up these big number combos, and the more you build them up, the more of a point bonus that you get for them. And these points are important because these lead to your extra lives. The combo system also adds this really great risk and reward system because you can be building up this crazy number, but you have to give it a little bit of time for the combo to go away so you can get that point bonus. Because if you get hit, your combo is going to get broken and you get nada for all of your hard work, which can be so soul crushing. The game also kind of basically introduced invisible wall barriers between sections of levels. I mean, they've been there since day one, but now enemies can bounce off of these invisible walls, and as enemies bounce off, you can keep this combo strings going. If I had a big complaint, a big complaint, and this is only for a Streets of Rage fanatic like me, is I hate the fact that they took away a lot of the cool new additions to the series that 3 introduced. You don't get specialized combos or attacks really when you do your forward B attacks with a weapon. You can't build up the stars in order to unleash different animations and better burst attacks and better combos. You can't quickly dodge up and down the planes, and not every character runs like you could in 3, which just seems so weird to me, but if you look into the backstory of this game, it's really just built from the ground up to emulate Streets of Rage 2 as much as it can, which is never a bad thing, but for a series stalwart like myself, it kinda sucks seeing these things being taken out of the game. But then again, if you do want to play with characters like that, you can just play with the characters from Streets of Rage 3 because one of the big drawing points of this game is the fact that you can unlock the playable characters from every single game. So as you do your multiple playthroughs, you'll unlock all 3 characters from 1, all 4 of them from 2, and 5 of the 6 playable characters from Streets of Rage 3. Why did you not include Rue? Why do you break my heart? I love that goddamn kangaroo. But it's really cool playing with these characters because they really emulate how they played in the older games, and to do more balancing, like Streets of Rage 1, characters didn't have their own special moves. So to make up for that, the characters in this game from Streets of Rage 1 can take more damage, they can deal out more damage, but they can really only do specials when they have their stars lined up. So, like if you're playing as Axel or Blaze, they will play completely different depending on which game that you pick them from. Another mechanic that this game does add though is the special star attack combo. You still have your special moves, but the star moves you can get by collecting stars by doing special attacks or unlocking special boss fights or just from opening the right random object, and these are a lifesaver. And much like your actual special attacks, you can lose life by using it, but gain it all back once again by building up specials and combos. So if you have a combo going, you can have a little green bar that you can fill back up to a certain amount of health. But once again, if that combo gets broken, you lose all of that work. So again, more risk reward. Besides the straight up gameplay mechanics, you have so many game modes. You have the story mode, you have the arcade mode, which is basically a 1cc run through of trying to beat the game. You have boss rush mode, you have level select mode, which can be nice for practicing rounds that are giving you trouble. You have the classic battle mode coming back, which I never really cared about or even liked that much, but some people like to see it and I'm glad it's here. And of course you have the biggest one, which is online play. So you can play with buddies locally, 4-player or 2-player from online, and it is awesome to play with a buddy all across the world. But that does depend on what system you do it with. So I own this on the Xbox One and the Switch, and when I played with Brian through the Xbox One, I'd have momentary little clips of lag, like split-second kind of things. But with the Switch, I was having lag issues left and right. And this is me using the same internet I use for the Xbox, so I know it's not my internet causing these big differences, it's the platform and the netcoding. On the Switch I had a ton of lag, a ton of skipped frames, and by level 6 the game crashed on us, so that sucked. So if you're going to be playing it online with friends, I gotta say the Switch is probably the worst way to go about it, but it's still doable. But I just love the fact that there's online play with Streets of Rage. I just love that so damn much. So with all that being said, Brian gave it an 8 and I gave it a 9. I absolutely love this game and I love everything that it's done. And after my first playthrough, I was like, yeah, the game's fun, it's good, I don't know if it's worth the money, but you really get the love out of it after you put on harder difficulties and you start unlocking stuff. As far as beer goes, I'm just going to give 1 beer for the kinda ticky-tack internet. It could have been coded better.
The originality I'll keep short because honestly, there's not a ton here. As Jim covered, there are some new things to the series, such as this combo system, the invisible walls that you can now bounce people off of, but honestly, those are things we've seen in other games. I'd say the newest addition is just the full commitment to giving players what they want, which is replaying as their old favorite characters from the old series in the way they play. Other games have tried this, but this one executes it the best. Still, it's not really that original, and we couldn't give it too many points, and trust us, we're not knocking the game because of this, but if we're being fair, we could only give this game 2s. When it comes to beer, I'm just going to add 1 beer, because this game was a love letter to the fans, and I didn't expect this game to offer anything that new.
Replayability. This I can keep short because there is a ton of it. As I've already talked about, you get all the different game modes, you get the 5 different difficulty levels, you get the arcade mode, you get the boss rush mode, you get the online play, you get the practice levels, you get the battle mode. You just get so many different ways to play this game that when it comes down to scores, Brian gave it an 8 and I gave it a 10. With all the unlocks, with all the game modes, with the online play, I just keep finding reasons to come back and back. Brian, he isn't as in love with it as I am, but he still liked it a lot. And when it comes to beer, you don't need any. There is just ample enough reason to come back and play this game.
So overall, this game has met and exceeded all of our expectation. It's a great looking game, and honestly, as you heard from our review, if there was any kind of knock, it's maybe that it's a bit on the short side, but it certainly makes up with it with all the reasons to go through and unlock and all the hidden secrets. So I really love the shit out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the series that we've been waiting over 20 years for. It's finally come back, and it just lived up to expectations. I was trying to be a little tepid going in because I didn't want to be disappointed. And even the first time playing through, I was like, yeah, that was good. But then as you just play through it more and more, I just fell in love. And depending, even with all the new stuff they threw in there, depending on how you want it, it can look like the old series, it can sound like the old series, or you can keep it with all the new stuff, and it would just fit right in with a clean coat of paint. They did such a good job of just capturing that classic Streets of Rage feel.
Yeah, so overall, as you see, we both gave it 8s. There's really not a lot to knock this game on, except for what the little nitpicks we did during the video. So overall, when we combined all of our scores, it's an 8. It's definitely above average. I think it's pretty undebatable that it is the best Streets of Rage game, even if Jim and I might prefer to personally because of the music and, you know, just nostalgia. But there's no doubt it runs the best, it offers the most, and if you're going to play Streets of Rage, just get this game. For $25, whether it's worth it or not, for some people, you may want to let it drop down in price a little bit, but for true Streets of Rage fans, I think you'll get your money's worth.
Now it's worth it, just buy it.
And if it's coming from Jim, who's a cheapo, you know that's saying something.
Yep, true.
All right, guys. With that, comment below what you think, and cheers.
Cheers.
When it comes to beer pairing, I'm going to go with the Lagunitas A Little Something Something Ale. This is by far one of our favorite IPAs we've tried, and it really is as good as everyone says. We wanted to pair an excellent beer with an excellent game, and even though it comes in at 7.5%, you're going to be able to drink a couple of these because this is a relatively short game. So grab a 6-pack, sit back, and enjoy. But remember to drink your beers and play your games responsibly. As always, guys, thanks for checking out this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you give us a thumbs up, leave some comments, or better yet, why not subscribe? Till next time, guys, cheers.